Hello, good morning and welcome to Joy News Desk. Coming up, 1-month-old baby miraculously escapes death after a building collapsed on her. We'll tell you how she was pulled from the rubble with injuries on her face as her family loses everything to the explosion at APEATSE in the western region. Meanwhile, Lands Minister hints of setting up a ministerial commission of inquiry to look into circumstances leading to the cause of the explosion.
And God willing, next week we're going to inaugurate a ministerial committee of technocrats who are going to conduct an inquiry, not just an inquiry into this incident, but an inquiry into the whole gamut of health and safety of mining in Ghana.
We'll take you live to the community as he heads there this morning. Also, timber carting in Ijusu causes panic among commuters as heavy log lifting machine drives through busy traffic intersection without any sense of safety for other road users.
According to residents, a timber carrying truck had a burst tire which required the offloading of the logs onto another truck. The process got bizarre as a heavy lifting machine attempted to lift a log from one end of the road to the other. Traders and commuters panicked as the log carrying machine drove along the busy intersection.
We have details of these and more, plus business and sports, all coming up. My name is Mapita Sibiri. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Now, a 1-month-old baby miraculously escaped death after a building collapsed on her at APEATSE in the western region. She sustained injuries on her face after she was rescued from the rubble. Her young 19-year-old mother says they lost everything after the explosion that devastated their community. The Psychiatric Association of Ghana on Tuesday revealed its initial assessment shows some children have gone mute after the disaster, with others persistently screaming at night. Maxwell Agwagwa has the rest of the story.
Baby Abna crying as a mother, Janet Amate, tries to lull her to sleep. Janet is waiting for the medical team at the St. Michael's Catholic Church to dress her baby's wounds. Injuries she sustained after she was pulled from the collapsed building. Her mother tells me she was washing outside when the explosion happened. She says she was at home washing when they were alerted to switch off all the electrical gadgets. Shortly after that, the explosion happened. She says her daughter got injured after the building collapsed on her, with a structure also engulfed by fire. Baby Abner's grandmother, Abna Jesiwa, says they lost everything after Thursday's explosion. She says life will not be the same after they leave the shelter. She was at the farm when the incident happened. She sells underwear, noodles at night, and also a farmer. She says they lost everything after the explosion. They need support. Money for food will be a problem when they leave the shelter. The Psychiatric Association of Ghana on Monday conducted a mental health assessment of the affected persons. Amongst others, its preliminary findings revealed children who reportedly scream at night and children who have gone mute since the explosion. The association is calling on Ghanaians to put resources together to avert what it describes as a potential mental health catastrophe in APEATSE.
Thursday, January 20, 2022, will be remembered in the annals of the people of APEATSE as a sad one, not to be forgotten anytime soon. A day which saw the death of 14 people, several injured, hundreds homeless, and seeking shelter in the Bogoso St. Michael Parish. Untitled Chapter returns to what has now become a bare land where residents are yet to accept the loss of their properties.
Mary Akosia is a 28-year-old artisanal miner. She is busily digging a hole, anxiously looking for something. I went to find out. It was a piece of gold. My name is Mary Akos. I am 28 years old. I have my belongings there. I lived there until the explosion. I wasn't around when it happened, so I came to look at the situation. I didn't hear about the incident on time. I was told about it the following. She's looking for her piece of gold and 1,000 Ghana cedis. She claims she dug and hid in a hole long before the blast that razed down the APEATSE village. She says she was away when the accident happened, but hurriedly came back here so she could find her precious property. To her disappointment, she couldn't trace her assets and money, but took solace in a beer bottle she found among the debris. Yesterday we came here to take our belongings, but we didn't get anything. But I have my gold there. I am an artisanal miner. I came to look for the gold, but I didn't find it. About 1 pound of gold. I had a brother who used to sell alcoholic beverages nearby. I went to search in the debris and I found this beer. Help me find my gold and money. Akosia's story may well be just one of many. A community that has lost everything overnight. This man gave his name as Mole. He has been helping rescue workers clean the debris. Himself an indigent, he's worried people do not take their safety as serious as they should.
So I see the container burning. I have to rush past. I come, I beg. Hey, everybody will make fast. Everybody will make fast. Call fire service right now. I beg each and everybody. Don't stand there and make picture. Hello. Call fire service or police right now. So Mullah started shouting, calling. I beg you get police contact, call them. You got fire service, call them. That time I come for the road top because now the fire is undone. Because now the container is burning. So I have to run past, come the road top, go up and down, shouting. Call the fire service, call police number. So I beg, if you watch out for your driving causes, for more times overtaking, overspeeding car, because what? Disaster. So I beg, each and everybody, check out road top. It's not that thing alone too. I beg, check out for your lovely case. Taking buses, I told that time, go joke on. Okay. More times you are taking buses, you don't go be checked.
The villagers of APEATSE are yet to come to terms with their loss. But for many like Akosia, it may well take months, possibly years to accept that a piece of gold may be gone for good. In Untitled Chapter, Joy News, APEATSE.
Meanwhile, the GNPC Foundation has announced a scholarship package for university students who are residents of APEATSE. Chief Executive of the foundation, Dr. Dominic Edua, who's been visiting the community, called for accurate data of all university students in the area. Untitled Chapter again has the rest of the story.
As government makes attempts to redevelop the APEATSE community, GNPC Foundation has promised the chiefs and people of APEATSE a new 6-unit classroom block to replace the only 3-unit basic school in the community destroyed by last Thursday's explosion. The executive director of the GNPC Foundation, Dr. Dominic Edua, gave the assurance during a visit to the devastated community.
It's actually to help provide scholarship awards for the tertiary students in this community. So we've engaged the opinion leaders to help us gather the data, the right data, to ensure that students from this community are enrolled on the GMPC scholarship scheme. The issue here is not normal, exactly as you mentioned, and having discussed with my trustee board, they have agreed this is supposed to be treated as a special case. In that respect, it means that the data we are going to gather, there's no need for them to go through the interviews here and there and all that, but they will be awarded accordingly. So that's a special case. That's what we are going to do.
What would the scholarship entail?
Of course, scholarship, as known by a lot of people, entails the tuition, something for accommodation, and also some monthly stipends. We've boxed all that together. So that's why we give that amount of money per year.
And that's going to be immediately for the people of
Immediately. So with the support of some opinion leaders, we are working on the data, and it will take immediate effect.
Dr. Edia believes the education of the people must not be suspended even in the midst of disaster, since the academic calendar cannot wait for the people of APEATSE.
Education is at the heart of what we do at the foundation. We realize that the only 3-unit classroom block that they have here is down. And it means that they don't even have a GHS. What we have decided to do is to immediately look at a possible means of providing a 6-unit classroom block being primary, and then a 3-unit classroom block being the GHS. In addition, just at a glance, you can look at the sanitary facility at my right side, and it's not one good thing that any of us can talk about. We are going to provide them with a new sanitary facility as well. I'll be in talks with the State Housing Corporation to know their preparation towards the reconstruction, so that the component we are supposed to provide can be added accordingly. Immediately we go here upon assessment, we realize that is one thing that cannot wait. The academic calendar cannot wait for the people of this community. So immediately.
For Joy News, in Athalia Kwansa, APEATSE.
The Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Samuel Abujinapo, says government will set up a ministerial commission of inquiry to probe the APEATSE explosion, which has so far claimed 14 lives and injured several others. In the view of the minister, the committee will also have the mandate to analyze the health and safety mechanisms of mining companies in the country and make recommendations. Mr. Jinapo spoke to the press in Parliament.
Say to you is that government is fully on top of this matter. Government is fully on top of this situation, and the president has made a commitment, and the commitment is that government is going to mobilize all the resources to support the victims, and more importantly, to reconstruct the APEATSE community and build a modern community for the people of APEATSE. And indeed, today, on the instructions of President Akufo-Addo, I inaugurated a 5-member committee to oversee the APEATSE Support Fund. We've launched the APEATSE Support Fund, which is a fund where we are going to call on Ghanaians, residents of Ghana and friends of Ghana to contribute to this fund for us to be able to raise the necessary funding to rebuild the community for the people of APEATSE. The committee is chaired by Reverend Dr. Joyce Ayi, whom we all know is a renowned, distinguished stateswoman of our country, with 4 other distinguished citizens of our country. And it's our hope and belief that this committee will work together to be able to raise the necessary funding for us to be able to reconstruct APEATSE. Finally, I should say that when these matters happen, there is also the need for the broader interrogation, the broader examination, so that we can learn the useful lessons out of the industry, the larger picture. What are the loopholes? Where do we have to tighten? The legal regime, is it sufficient? The policy regime, is it sufficient? And God willing, next week, we're going to inaugurate a ministerial committee of technocrats who are going to conduct an inquiry, not just an inquiry into this incident, but an inquiry into the whole gamut of health and safety of mining in Ghana. and not just explosives, everything to do with health and safety of mining, so that out of that we can have recommendations which will be implemented and to make our country a safe and healthy destination for mining.
Let's do other stories now. Soil is the most significant source of various nutrients and microflora. We'll do that after the break. Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take you live to the APEATSE community as more help continues to pour in for victims. Maxwell Agbagba is there for us. Maxwell, which individuals and organizations are in the community currently?
Well, Maps, as I speak to you, we have here with us the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO. United Nations Interagency Working Group on Emergencies, also here. So what you can see in your shot right now are the officials of NADMO going around with members of UNICEF, WFP, that's the World Food Program, and all of that, going around the community and doing some assessment. I have the team lead here with me, Christopher Nkrumah. He's going to tell us what their mission is here in this community. Christopher, you're welcome to join us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Great. Can you tell us what your mission is here today?
Okay, so our mission here today is very simple, and as the UN Interagency Working Group on Emergencies, we are here to first of all empathize with the community. We've heard the news, but then we hear personally to empathize with the community and also engage the affected population as well, so that as UN has been supporting government's efforts, we want to see what needs we can fill, or what gaps we can fill as the UN Interagency Working Group on Emergencies. Okay,
so which of the agencies are here? I've seen UNICEF, I've seen the World Food Program, I've seen the UNFPA.
Sure. So as you rightly said, we have IOM also with us, UNICEF, UNFPA, WFP. So the others, we know that WHO has already been here because of the urgent need for some medical assistance and supplies.
Okay, yeah. So after the preliminary assessment, what are we expected or likely to see?
Okay, so even as we came with some supplies. Okay. So the supplies, we have some medical items for the hospitals that is treating those who have been injured. We also have some water and sanitation kits that we want to donate to the displaced population. We also have some educational materials as well. So from here, we will just go to the new site and do a handing over of those things to the municipal NADMO team and the assembly so that it can be distributed to the affected population.
And I'm sure after this assessment and the needs that you identified means more intervention is going to come for the people.
Yeah, sure. So that is the essence of our engagement with the people here, so that once we are done, we know that one of the key things that will be much needful is the provision of psychosocial support for everyone, but especially children. And I know through our coordinating efforts, we'll be able to ensure that is the and any other things that we find out, we go and brief the resident coordinator, the other interagency working group partners, and then we firm up on the key next steps.
Okay, thank you very much for talking to us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay, so Maps, you just had a team lead for the United Nations Interagency Working Group on Emergencies, Christopher Nkrumah. Now we have with us the Deputy Director for NADMO, Saji Amedonu. He's also here. Deputy Director General for NADMO. He's also joining me to tell us what their role is also here. Sir, you're welcome to join us.
Thank you.
Great. I want to find out what the role of NADMO is also. We know you are the center of all of this. We want to find out what you're doing here today.
Okay, at the moment, as the team lead for the interagency group, the UN interagency group on emergency said, we had a joint meeting about 3 days ago, and we shared our rapid assessment information with them. And through that meeting, we all agreed that there's a need to do a follow-up assessment, which is actually still a rapid but a needs assessment. So we are now going to zero down on the specific needs that will be temporarily needed, and needs that will be also needed in the medium to long term. So in sharing that report, that is where we give them in the information that apart from the food items we have, there was a need to actually target children, mothers, and the female too as well. So immediately, some of the agencies working under the UN Interagency Working Group on Emergencies had some supplies, some dignity kits, and by dignity kits I mean things that toothpaste, toothbrush, sponge, sanitary pads and all those things, and diapers and all that. So quickly they were able to mobilize something, and yesterday we were able to provide something. This morning they brought some as well. So the essence of this mission is to actually ascertain the needs beyond what we have already done. Today, I mentioned on Sunday that a new place was being prepared for the displaced persons to be moved to. Thankfully, it is going to start today. They weren't able to start on Sunday. Thankfully, it's going to start today.
So the resettlement is starting today?
Part of it is starting today. We will have our last meeting there with the items that was brought. Because this time we are going to be targeting families. We want to try as much as possible to start putting them in the groupings in which they were when before the incident happened. So basically that's the essence of. So at this process, yes, we are at the recovery stage, but we still have things that will have to make life comfortable for the people. We still need to provide those things. Water, for instance, is also needed, but there's already a supply of water to them at the safe haven where they are. So that's it. So the itinerary basically is we are doing another round of assessment in here. We are going to engage with the displaced persons briefly and find out how they are. And you also know that the Ghana Health Service has provided some of their nurses and staff who are standby and helping out. Then from there we'll go to the new site, have our last meeting there with all the agencies, the incident command set up with all the agencies with the municipal chief executive as the head. And from there we'll wrap up our work for today.
Interesting. You say when they move to the new shelter, they're going to be put into family units?
Into groups, into
families?
Not exactly families. You know, in a community, there's a certain arrangement where we can say family, but maybe extended and all that into smaller units. I think the appropriate word would be now smaller units, so that you can be able to now zero into specific needs and attend to them. And that is where they will be able to now start, trying to do things normally, the way they were doing it before the incident happened, like cooking and a school is also, they are working on arrangement for school to also start because there was a primary school that was affected. And some of the other needs that we also identified when school reopens, what happens to the children. So things like, educational materials, bags, and all those things also come in.
Yeah, I know that NADMO is also doing its investigations as part of, what has happened. The security agencies are also doing an investigation. I don't know if NADMO has any updates on its preliminary findings or anything that you want to publish.
No, I've said that our mandate is more with dealing with the humanitarian issues that comes out of a disaster. As to the investigation, the appropriate institutions are doing it, but the investigation itself, the process of the investigation and the result of the investigation, that is a report of the investigation, especially the recommendations of the investigation, will be of serious importance to us as an organization, because our work starts from prevention. I've always said our disaster management work starts from identifying risk, reducing the risk. Then, in the unlikely event that a disaster happens, we go in to respond. We go and respond and rescue people. Then we do the recovery and finally do our reconstruction.
The question on, finally before you go, the question on the minds of many is that, is Ghana prepared for disasters, if there should be one, if any happens?
I think Ghana is prepared in the framework and the structure we have. We have a functional disaster management organization. We have structures established by law to deal with disaster management. And I've always said that we have a structure at every local assembly where you have the district chief executive or the municipal chief executive chairing a disaster management committee that has all the agencies represented at the assembly on that committee. And also the law also allows them to co-opt any other person they feel can render some service or contribute to the kind of situation they are dealing with. And mind you, their major mandate or their major preoccupation as a disaster management committee is to come out with what we call a disaster management plan. In that disaster management plan, the localities' hazards will be identified. Then the risks will also be identified. Then they look at measures. So in the assembly's planning, in terms of even construction, in terms of even siting a market, in terms of siting schools, in terms of all the activities that that is carried out in that particular municipality or district, they look at ways that they can reduce risk. Because you see, you can never predict to the exact point when a disaster will occur. We have man-made disasters and we have natural ones. Some of our activities contribute to making disasters happen. Those ones we have control over. So I think this particular incident and the reports that will come out from the investigative committee will help us to now see how we can handle such things better, so that this will not reoccur.
Okay. Thank you very much for talking to us. Great. So you just heard from the Deputy Director General for the National Disaster Management Organization, Seji Saji Ambedonu. Now let's show you. Let's show you what is happening here. You remember that the explosion that happened created a huge. There was a huge crater in the middle of the road that disrupted traffic flow on this street that crater that was there has now been worked on. As you can see, there are still some construction workers still trying to complete the work here. So as it stands right now, that crater, it's no longer there. The crater, we are told, was deep because that was the exact site of the explosion. So the vehicle that was carrying the explosives was parked somewhere here, just some distance away from where we are right now.
Maxwell,
but right now,
Maxwell, I understand the lands minister will be there.
Then the vehicles will no longer have to use the stretch which has been rerouted for them. Now they'll use the main road. So this is the main road. Let's try and see if we can speak to any of the people here, any of the people who are in charge of this place. Let's see if they will speak to us. Let's get some update on the road. Well, it looks like that is not going to happen. That is not going to happen. But this is what it looks like now. When the incident happened, the crater was so deep that if you're standing afar, you couldn't see the bottom of the crater. But now it has been leveled, and very soon it will be asphalted, and then the road will be put back into its original shape. That is what is happening here at APEATSE. But just about 150 meters away from where I'm standing, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, who is also here in this community, will be addressing the community members. So in about 5 minutes, we should get that, Babs.
All right, that is my colleague Maxwell Abgaba. He's live at APEATSE, where that explosion happened in the western region. Let's do other stories now and go to the Ashanti region, where some residents in the APEATSE municipality are incensed at a dangerous scene of a heavy lifting machine carrying timber in a busy traffic intersection on the APEATSE-Kumasi highway. The log lifting machine posed danger to commuters, including pupils on a school bus, as the driver maneuvered his way around in attempts to transport the log. Traders and motorists panicked at the scene. Nanayo Jama has more in this report.
According to residents, a timber-carrying truck had a burst tire which required the offloading of the logs onto another truck. The process got bizarre as a heavy lifting machine attempted to lift a log from one end of the road to the other. Traders and commuters panicked as the log-carrying machine drove along the busy intersection. As he was carrying the logs with the lifting machine, anything could have happened. It could have killed someone. It caused us to panic.
I panicked yesterday. Clearly, the log was too heavy for the lift and it looked risky.
A driver, Isaac Assuming, wants government to properly regulate the transporting of timber.
Because it's risky. Say a car in
The country doesn't have any proper regulation for cutting timber. I will plead with government to ensure strong vehicles are used for the purpose.
So in industrial areas now more heavy duty car very good.
The APEATSE Municipal Assembly says it is working with the police to ascertain what actually happened.
From the Ashanti region, let's go back to the western region, where the lands minister is addressing some community members.
Yeah, and you be who you cry a woman. Nam said, "Ne, munina mutie FM radio for we say ne see ye, we say ne see ye, we see the coffee by any, we see when a coffee by. See a be who near see titiwa, ne be jina, and shishemuno, ne wie, and a betray near see ye. Na nana shishemubia siniwa. Ebeti me akoswa ebe wonyina so a 7 prediasa o nana ene amanfo no ene apiatefo no yentie monumusem se hwehwemu bi si na se yentie monumusem a 7 prediasa megidi sense se sanhwehwemu no na enwie periye ena amene mo kasai yate ekuo kakra omoba mukuru mu hanom eye nhwehwemu ni nyina echi omoba be bisansem no mba be fefe nsemu na enche nhwehwemu no sunsuaso nyina ba bedadi na nyina ehu ni kure tina na na kan police escort no wo ho no ni ho oteka ni mu oteka be ni mu nhwehwemu no be yi nyina bedani nyina adi na omo ne na naso be di nkita ho na nimdie ne ne kure na nawo efa asem ne hu nyina no ebe pia abonten enne toso mienu na ne toso miensa ne etwato eni enunti ana ne yaba hei ne toso miensa no eni say aba ne say no President Akufo-Addo de asi ne boso o de asi wo waka to ho e de asi wo o mampanyin say mukuru no obehwe esia mam na obehwe esia mam so a na ejina say aban aso ya ehwe adansie so na ehwe say dibre so ne say adwumadie so Minister for Works and Housing any Ministry of Works and Housing no mene no be ye adwuma na adisadu hu ne botaya omampanyi di asi nani so no na abam eno ana ekofa ase enra omampanyi ema yeti bibia ye frɛ no APEATSE support fund me say mo ate honka APEATSE support fund na mo amotu dada say mo bie bank account or commercial bank any other banks ne mo ankasa so no mo akora mo ho a mo a efri miamia ebe nyina mo gi a mo hwe say mo de be ye adwuma kwan papa so no na me sheda abom aba so na aban bom aba so me so me bom aba so say aban kora beba be ne de no mo tu anamo aye bibi kakra dada eno ana me gidi say ahemfo nyina ese ye de ye edusua e de ye adwuma nti eno no ye bom aba so na sa fund na yate no kuo abata akese ganafo amanonefo nipa bebri pese omoboa construction aye ba be yi ene nyuma die bebri ese ye mamo na omampanyi si ye nche fund we na me hye obo se fund no nipa no omoda no omo ye nipa titiru pa ayo omo ye nipa omo ye ne kwediefo omo ne mo be di nkita ho na nhyehyɛ ya mo ni nyinaa ene adwenkyerɛ a mo so mo wo ene mo a mo betimi di abo nyinaa no na omo ne mo ye adwuma abom na akoba ne sɛ ente sɛ bankum yes wei ana nifa so ye wei na mo nyinaa mo ne government fund no ene traditional authorities mo so mo effort amoye no we find a platform to synchronize them na harmony aba na etimedie hia titiriu ene sesebe na na wo ne amanfo mo ho betom mo na mo ho hia adwuma ye nyina no ye amamo ye say ebeduru awiye no na APEATSE mindful ehu say ampa omo aban ne wotema aban ne di ne kore aban ne ye adwuma mo na mo nyamfaso efiri aban no adwuma ho nti eno so asem kakra metimi aka fa ho no na ne kura na mesre man ni nyina se mo nkoso boa aban ne hyehye a ye de atudwa nyina mu wi ase ho nsem doso ene akoba ne sei obi yesu ne obi akomate na obi aduru ahokyere mu a ese nyina ase ne aban ebo ne homode se ye de beboa apapa moni so no na obi so sebe nipa boni bi so ono so ehye kuntunu ase eba be ye mfifimu na se mamu mpene na monye ni se ye nko ne ha demonstration na mesre mo obi antie sa asem no na obi antie mo amahu ni aban aye asemisi ye aban nae adenkyen ye vice president ba ha ne so ye bia no waye emre bia no aban panifo na moso ani enne ya ba ha mu kuro na sei omanpanyi si ye mra ne ye mehwe ne ye si kuro ni mamo nti aban no wotema aban no e wa adwempa mamo nti modawoma monta aban na chi ne nyina anya baako ne ye si kuro na nya fefefe ye siri wie na fefefe a omanpanyi ankasa beba ha abebie kuro na mamo na bibia ye perepere nyame hia ho ndamase bebre
Yada Honorable Samuel Abujinapo ase se odensem mu hwam atudwa ema APEATSE man Christian Honi Valley man ye nyina ya boye nsem sabre dwumadie no dɔɔso pa ne saso nti se kwan bebe ma nananom aban panifo pese omosre na mpanifo di omanim na omokɔhwɛ APEATSE kuro no se de si aye afa na dwumadie keka ho no yetumi di esanse ne dwumadie no dɔɔso pa na se kwan dem a na omo ayene sa nananom de ebetumi atena ase na mo Christian Honi Valley mpanifo ebedi aban mpanifo nanim na omakɔhwɛ na sɛde na na kasa okaye no omanfo ne meboa nti Star Assurance Company Limited wa ha a omo be donation mpanifo ekoi no ye ya yebeka akire nso yebehwɛ na ayaje ubia nso ade bibia aba no me nsanka ne ye nana ne din ede nana ata kojo premibi unya bia no abre ye bi yankopon hira.
That's Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abujinapo addressing the people and some chiefs of APEATSE, and he is assuring them that the government is working hard to rebuild the community. And he says that the president will visit the community to address them once the community has been rebuilt. Now let's do other stories, where soil is the most significant source of various nutrients and microflora. But due to its depletion by excessive addition of chemical fertilizers, rehabilitated attention is needed to maintain sustainable approaches in agricultural crop production. Researchers are recommending the use of biochar as a carbon-rich solid material to help restore soil nutrients and combat climate change. They say crop growth can yield, and yield can be increased using biochar. APEATSE Institute is therefore conducting scientific research about it in cocoa production. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
Biochar is a high-carbon organic matter, a byproduct derived from biomass through high temperature and low oxygen pyrolysis. To address major concern on quality of agricultural soil degradation, biochar is applied to the soil to improve its quality. It has been considered as an effective method to reclaim contaminated soil and achieve high crop yields without destroying the natural environment. APEATSE Institute is therefore carrying out research on its impact on cocoa production.
Piloting this new technology, you also face some challenges and issues that need to be solved before you can enter an upscaling procedure. For example, the application mode of the biochar.
Yes, currently it's free, and as part of, because it's a pilot phase, we even motivating the farmers. So at each of these farmers who have received the treatment, we bought the char, though we trained them to produce the biochar themselves, but we gave them something to motivate them.
The project has certified 18 beneficiary farmers who produce and apply biochar to their cocoa farms. This is the first certified biochar-based carbon sink in smallholder cocoa systems. It is verified according to the European Biochar Certificate as developed by the APEATSE Institute. It enables beneficiaries to receive carbon premium on their produce.
So far we've trained 33 farmers, and we've incorporated biochar into 18 of these farmers. So in terms of beneficiaries, 18 farmers have received the application of biochar and biochar-based fertilizers.
So talking about perennial systems as the cocoa, it would make sense to apply the biochar, the fertilizer, as a root zone application. Here a new technology is on the market called geo-injection, which we also trialed in our pilot study. But this needs further improvement before we can enter an upscale. So building on this challenge, we were looking for alternative modes of application of this biochar-based fertilizer, and found, for example, the topsoil application as a biochar slurry as a feasible mode for fast scaling.
Biochar can be produced from raw materials such as grass, cow manure, among others. It is produced during pyrolysis, a terminal decomposition of biomass in an oxygen-limited environment.
The project seeks to use a product which farmers have struggled to dispose over the years, that is the cocoa husk. So in that sense, it's even good because the husk, even on the farmer's field, could also pose some management challenges. And then two, also the biochar that is made from the cocoa husk is also interesting. And then also it gives a very good opportunity for other economic benefits.
To combat climate change, biochar is added to the soil to sequester carbon.
I see this project as one with a very, very high potential in regard to climate change mitigation. Extracting biomass from a cocoa systems, finding a feasible way to do that would allow for a global scaling. There are gigantic areas under cocoa cultivation, and if these huge farmer networks delivering to the big cocoa companies engage in biochar production, we talk about the climate change mitigation effect on a megaton scale CO2 per year.
It is believed that biochar has a long average lifetime in soil, ranging from 1,000 to 10,000 years, with an average of 5,000 years. A report by Mohammed Nuruddin.
The structure. Yeah, you need to buy shade net.
You're still watching Joy News Desk. Up next is business. And in business, expenditure for household in urban areas shot up by more than 12 cedis per week as a result of the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is part of findings by the Ghana Statistical Service Third Wave Household and Job Tracker Survey, which is aimed at highlighting the plight of households after the effects of the COVID-19. There's more in this report.
The survey, which focused on expenditure for COVID-19 related activities, indicated that urban communities, especially in the coastal belt, spent at least 12 cedis more every week on personal protective equipment during the peak of the pandemic. 2/3 of the respondents during the survey noted that their income levels have not recovered to pre-COVID-19 era. Also, almost 30% of respondents indicated that their overall household income stayed same as compared to the pre-pandemic period. Project coordinator Victor Boatin Owusu has been explaining at a press conference in Accra.
This is an extra income burden that the pandemic has brought onto the Ghanaian households. And we all know as every day our children go to school, we also go to work. And when we also want to enter public institutions, there's a need to use these PPEs. Therefore, it becomes more extra burden in terms of economic-wise for the Ghanaian public. Households in urban areas spend slightly more on PPEs than households in rural areas. And knowing that households in the rural areas move out into public space more than that of the rural. And on the third point, we are saying that 3 statistical zones, that's the savannah, the forest, and then the coastal. Households in the coastal zones spend most on the PPEs.
Deputy Government Statistician Dr. Faustina Frimpong noted that the survey is critical to the development of the economy post-COVID-19 recovery.
Daily increase is 169. We are still moving about freely. This is because of what has been able to be achieved over the years. As part of Ghana Statistical Service, our mandate is to provide information, timely information, to enable planners to be able to decide on what to do. And so when this pandemic came forth, Ghana Statistical Service, in collaboration with UNDP and the World Bank, initiated a household survey to be able to understand how people are accepting or the impact on their livelihoods and their own households, and how are they mitigating this or strategies put in place to be able to go through this.
The report further reveals that many Ghanaians have still not tested for the virus for the fear of stigmatization.
And it's time for sports. Muftau joins me, and Muftau, I understand that the GFA is meeting.
You didn't qualify Muftau joins.
I know, Muftau, and you know why I didn't. Leave me alone.
Okay. Yes, indeed, the GFA will meet today. Mm-hmm. The head coach presented his technical report to the management committee on Monday. Management committee has also put together a report. They submitted to the GFA on Tuesday, so the executive council will meet today. And officially, they will announce the departure of Milovan Rajvac after the meeting today. That's the intel we've picked so far. We've also been made to understand that they had a meeting with the Ministry of Youth and Sports yesterday, which was Tuesday, after assembling all the reports that had come through, and said that for Milovan Rajvac to be fired, he needs to be paid a compensation of $400,000. It's unclear how they've arrived at that figure, because even per the ministry's calculations, he's due $270,000. Yeah. So what we sat here and spoke about is actually what the payers actually thought they were going to pay, but the GFA now says that it's $400,000. But that is actually not a big deal at all. They're still going to let him go. They'll fire him today. We expect an official statement after the meeting today. If we don't get it today, probably by tomorrow morning it should be out. Okay. But we are certain that it will be released today. Otoado, Ibrahim Tanko, and Kwesi Appiah, interestingly, are the names being looked at to become the next Black Stars coach.
Okay.
It's 90% Otoado, 99.9% Ibrahim Tanko, 0% Kwesi Appiah. Okay.
So those are numbers from Muftau. And when Muftau says something, 99.9%, you better trust that he's got the right information. But I want to know, is there any conversation happening around the money, the whole 400,000 instead of the 200,000? What's the conversation like?
Well, the GFA said it to the ministry on Tuesday. The ministry have not opposed it. They've not said much. Just go ahead and do the right thing. People who pay the coach says, fire him. Go and fire him. We'll sort out the rest after.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay.
So they'll sort out the rest after. So that's what matters now. And then the management committee too, it has also been dissolved. That announcement will also be made by close of day today.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Muftau. We'll be waiting for some details from that meeting. Do you know what time it's going to happen, maybe?
Oh, the meeting is at 2 p.m.
Okay.
The council will meet at 2 p.m. So latest by 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 p.m. We should have a statement. If we don't get it, we should get it tomorrow morning.
Okay, right. All right. Thank you very much, Muftau, with the sports. And that's Mapita CBD ending Joy News Desk. For more news, you can log on to myjoyonline.com.